So, welcome everybody. How not to lose a sale and get a second chance. I'm Dr. Nancy Zier, and I'll serve as the moderator and host for this program. And first, I want to thank you for taking your time to be with me. I know there are many other things that you could be doing, so I value the fact that you made a choice to be here. I do recommend that you have note paper because there's many items I'm going to share with you that I'm sure you're going to want to remember. So I do suggest that you get some paper handy to take notes. As we get started, I'd like to ask some questions. Are you here to get a second chance with a client that perhaps got away? You may be looking for that first chance. In other words, you'd like to increase your skills so that you learn how to acquire clients more easily. And would you like to know the secret for how you do both? I call it AlikeAbility. AlikeAbility. Quick story about Mike. He's a realtor, and he works in an agency that has both rental and property for sale. And one of the rental customers called and was looking to become a first-time home buyer. And Mike was fortunate enough to get the call. Now, Mike is the kind of person that, especially when he hears somebody's a first-time home buyer, he is extremely friendly, very warm, and he wants to ply them with information. And so, indeed, he was telling this person a lot of facts, a lot of information about what he needed to know to become a first-time home buyer. Mike sensed, though, that they weren't on the same page. Something didn't seem to jibe. And the only thing Mike knew to do was to become even friendlier and warmer and more effusive and to talk a lot more and give a lot more information. And the result? Very quickly after that, the person hung up, and later Mike learned that he went with another broker. How much do you think that cost Mike in lost commissions? Probably several $1,000s. And if he had formed a relationship with that client, perhaps there could have been referrals as well. What was his mistake? His mistake is the most frequently made mistake by most salespeople, and that is he was stuck in only one way of presenting information. He had only one way of presenting and sharing and connecting with that potential buyer. The best salespeople outsell the average 57-1. That statistic comes from the Word of Mouth Marketing Advertising Association. And the people who are super salespeople, I think they have the chameleon effect. You put them on the green leaf and they shift to become green. You put them on the brown rock, they become brown, and they do it without noticing because they seem to be instinctive, natural, that they just shift themselves. So as you watch them, these super salespeople, you don't see that they do something very special. And if you were to ask them, there's a good chance they can't give you an answer because they do it naturally. But I do know what the secret is. And again, the secret is called AlikeAbility. My goal is to help you get unstuck, to be able to get that second chance with the client that may have gotten away, or maybe even give you that first chance with new prospects. And I'm going to do it with the AlikeAbility system. Now, I've used that word several times, AlikeAbility. So let me define it since I'm the one that made it up. It is a skill that raises the perception in the mind of your prospect that you're alike. It's a skill, meaning you can learn it, I can teach it, and I teach it very well. In the chat box, I'd like you to put in an answer to this question. What would be the value to you if you had AlikeAbility? How do you think that could help you if you oozed AlikeAbility, if the people you knew felt that, quote, were alike? How could that be of benefit? Go ahead and put that in the chat box. And as you're answering that question, let me give you some of my ideas as to what takes place. Great, I see some answers coming in. Terrific. Yep. Excellent. Good answers. So here's my thoughts. Comfort, ease, friendliness, they start to increase. People feel more comfortable with you. There is an ease in communication. It's a friendly atmosphere. But you know what falls away? Sales resistance. You see, everybody has sales resistance. People love to buy, but they hate to be sold. And along with the sales resistance dropping, what builds is trust. And you know that people do business with those they know, like, and trust. Trust is essential to making the sale. And with trust comes rapport. Now, the name of my business is Rapport Builders. And I have an expression that when there is no rapport, there will be no sales. But when you know rapport, you will know sales. So how do we form rapport? Here is our agenda. I'm going to talk about the AlikeAbility system and 4 different ways that people make decisions, 4 different ways for you to get a second chance. I'm going to make an offer for you to learn more about the AlikeAbility system, and then I'm going to offer bonus material about how to identify these 4 different buying styles based upon what they wear. And finally, I do have a free gift, so stay tuned to the end and you'll be eligible for that gift. If you don't mind, I'm going to share with you a little bit about myself and how I came to understand the AlikeAbility system. You see, I was born a psychologist. Now, I know you probably think that's kind of odd, and that is a picture of me as a baby. But it's actually true that I was always interested in human behavior. I was the youngest child and only girl in my family. And as it turned out, my parents had a very stormy marital relationship. And when I was about 8 or 9 years old, I was very troubled by their fighting. I heard the cupboards slamming, the glasses breaking, the doors slamming, the loud voices. And I wanted to help them, but I didn't exactly know how. And then I saw an episode of Father Knows Best. Now, for those of you not familiar with it, that was a TV series, I think back in the 50s or 60s, in which this kindly gentleman had the answer to all the problems of his family and his neighborhood. Well, in this case, he had 3 quarreling children, and he sat them down on the couch, and he started with the oldest child, and he asked her what the problem was and what we should do to fix it. And he wouldn't let the other 2 interrupt. And then he went to the second child, his only son. He asked him the same question. What do we do? What do we do to fix it? Wouldn't let the other 2 interrupt. And then he finally came to the youngest child. That was me. And he asked her the same question. Well, I really don't know what it is that he did. After all, it was a situational TV show, and they all lived happily ever after. But what I did know is it gave me an idea of how to help my parents. And indeed, the next time they had one of these blowout arguments, I asked them to sit on the couch. They didn't sit on the couch. My dad sat in the chair as close to the front door as he could get. My mother sat in a chair that was kind of in the living room, but really in the dining room. So they had this whole big space between them. I was the one who sat on the couch. But I did exactly what Father Knows Best had done. I asked my dad, he was the oldest, what do we do to fix this problem? And I wouldn't let my mom interrupt. And again, I turned to my mom, and then I did the same thing, and I wouldn't let Dad interrupt. And this was the strangest thing. First of all, they listened to a child, so I must have had some kind of gift or ability even at that young age. But here was what was amazing to me. Both of them spoke English. In fact, they were native-born English-speaking adults, and yet they couldn't understand what each other requested. They needed me, the child, to explain. They were stuck in only one way of communicating. They were stuck in just their particular words, their particular viewpoint. And I translated for them. I was able to shift and find the words that could express to my mom what Dad was requesting, and likewise to express to my dad what Mom needed to be loved and cherished. And yes, somehow that managed to make a difference in the family. Fast forward, I went to school. I studied at Boston University, got my degree in psychology. I went on later to study and get a master's and a doctorate from Boston College. I've been certified and trained by Peak Potentials Training and also by the bank sales training system. When I graduated, I have to admit, I had no intention of doing sales. After all, I had chosen psychology, which was to help people. I didn't think sales had anything to do with helping people. Of course, I was wrong. But I found myself taking a position in which I was indeed representing a company, and I was selling mental health services in the workplace. Well, since I hadn't been trained in selling, I decided I should learn. And I came across a book by Tony Alexandro about the platinum rule. Now, if you're like me, I was familiar with the golden rule, which is do unto others as I would want done for myself. But that puts me in the center of the measuring stick. What is it that I want? Remember, I told you that people are different. There are 4 different ways that people are processing information. And the platinum rule puts your prospect in the middle. It says, do unto others as that person would want done for themselves. Notice how that shifts the perspective away from me and onto the other person. So the AlikeAbility system is all about shifting away from oneself and helping to put yourself and look through the lens of your prospect. There are 5 steps to the AlikeAbility system. The first is to understand and define that there are 4 different ways that people communicate. In fact, there are biological underpinnings for these differences. You may have heard of DISC or Myers-Briggs, or perhaps you've come across a personality system based upon animals, birds, dogs, fish. There are colors, objects, shape. There are over 200 personality systems. The first one was started by Hippocrates back in, I guess, 400 and something BCE. I talk about the lens personality system, and as you can already see, lens is actually an acronym. It stands for these 4 ways that people perceive and understand and communicate and make buying decisions. The L in lens stands for learning. The E in lens is for energizing. The N in lens is for networking, and S in lens for stabilizing. Now, I don't really care whether you remember this as LENS, as learning, energizing, networking, stabilizing, or whether you think of it as colors, green, red, yellow, actually gold, and blue. The point is for you to be able to identify and discern that there really are 4 different ways that people think about, communicate, and make decisions. The lens system is based upon values, and I'm showing you a picture of fruits and vegetables because we know that fruits and vegetables are valuable to the human body. But the ones that you prefer and the ones that I prefer could be very different, and yet both of them have value. Well, that's true about these personality styles. They have different values, but all the values are valuable. So let's look at the learning style, or, the green style here. What is it that they value most? Well, first at the list is learning. This is the person that absolutely loves to learn. They just gobble it up. They just eat it up. They are an information junkie, and they take a deep nosedive into information. The next value is intelligence. They often are smart and bright people, but they especially value people who are intelligent and bright and well-read and well-learned. They value competence. Now, competence is kind of applied intelligence. Competence is know-how. It's the ability to actually do it, not just know it, but have it done. And they value the big picture. They think in terms of the big picture. And this is a value to them. So if you're presenting, you want to help them see the broad landscape of where we're going. Now, when they make a decision, there are two words that kind of capture what's going on in their thinking process. The first is that things should be practical. Practical means that it solves a problem. And these are people who are indeed looking to solve problems. And utilitarian. Utilitarian means that they have long use and longevity. And then, of course, it is a useful solution that they've found. What is it that this person's actually buying? They are buying information. Oh yes, data, information. They glory in learning things. Remember, that's a big value. And they're buying solutions, which is applied ways of using that information. They tend to be very slow when making up their minds. And that's the reason that they take 7 or more contacts before they can go forward. It's not that they're being stubborn. It's just that they're doing research. They're doing their due diligence. And consequently, you need to be patient with this person. They have to think it over. So let me tell you a quick story about Lou. In fact, I think, Lou, you're on the line. And Lou had some impatience when it came to the learning style. And once Lou found out that they take a while to make up their mind and they needed information, all of a sudden you turned it around. And Lou, you know how many jobs you've gotten this year as a result of being able to apply this information. In fact, you got a second chance with those real estate agents who are learning style. Energizing people. What do they value? Well, first and foremost, they value freedom. This is a person who wants no rules, no regulations, no boundaries, no limits. I mean, they're all about being this free spirit, coming, doing, saying, and experiencing life to the full. They're into action, massive action. They've got a Bluetooth in the ear. They're texting, they're driving, they're doing it all. This is a person who's almost nonstop into action. Excitement. They love that feeling of adrenaline and living on the edge and just feeling their heart beating and, all out, full excitement and enthusiasm. And this is a person who's highly competitive. They're absolutely want to win. So when they play to come out on top. Now, again, two words that describe this person's choices when they make a buying decision. One is it needs to be trendy. It's got to be on the cutting edge. It's got to be modern and stylistic and, something no one else has done before. And outstanding. This person has to stand out from the pack. They have to be different. They want to be special. They love that red carpet treatment. So they're looking for things to be outstanding and unique. What is it that they buy? They are buying an adventure. Yes, that adventure. They don't know where they're going. They're explorers. They're going to do something that hasn't been done before. And they're buying an experience. Again, that adrenaline, that feeling, that rush of doing something that they haven't done before. They are fast when it comes to making up their minds, 1 to 2 contacts, or as I tell my clients, really it's one and done. So if you don't pin them down that day, that time, there's a good chance that the next bright, shiny object has attracted them and off they go. So I'll tell you a quick story about River and how he got a second chance. He sells insurance, and River is not the energizing style. In fact, the insurance industry is very much very staid and status quo and very slow in moving forward. But when River was meeting with an energizing client and he understood that he only had this one chance, he had the paperwork with him, he was prepared to go, and he landed the deal the first time. He didn't go back to the office and process it. Had he done so, which he did in the past, he would not have had a second chance. And now let's turn to the networking style. This is the person who values relationships. They're all about connecting, forming a bond, being a part, and being in a team. It's about being authentic, about sharing genuinely and being sincere and telling the truth and connecting on that level that, you kind of, that innermost view of oneself. They long to do something of significance, something beyond themselves. So they're attracted to causes and purpose and, something that has meaning in life. And finally, this is the person who wants to get along. Let's sing Kumbaya, let's be a team, let's function together, let's be in harmony. Again, two words that characterize how they make their buying decisions. The first is it should be casual. These people are down to earth. They don't stand on ceremony. They want it to just, again, be genuine, authentic, and real. And comfortable. They don't want to have any pretenses. They just want everyone, again, to feel like we're a buddy, we're a team. It's a warm, comfortable, friendly atmosphere. So what are they buying when they purchase things? They're really buying a relationship. They're buying a bond. So again, this is the person who is buying you. They're not buying the service or product that you're offering. And it's so important that you connect with them in that authentic, genuine way. They're fairly quick at making a decision, about 2 to 3 times of contact before they can go forward. But I'm going to add +1. And in your notes, be sure to circle that +1. Why is that? Within 24 hours of their saying yes, you want to reconnect with them. Have some sort of touch, an email, a phone call, a text message to let them know that you're thinking of them as a person. Remember, they don't want to be a transaction. They want to buy a relationship. So that +1, you need to reach out and have another contact within 24 hours of their saying yes. So I'll share with you about Linda. Linda's a very fast decision maker. She's the energizing style, and she too happens to sell long-term care disability insurance. And she was not doing very well with that networking type because she is a competitor. She wants to win. And that networking type doesn't want to be a transaction. Well, once she understood that, she began to get a second chance by forming a relationship with her clients. And now she's able to get multiple deals and get lots of referrals because of that. Our last style is stabilizing. And this is the person whose number one value is stability. They hate change. They like things to stay the same. This is the person who wants things that are tried and true. They're the ones that go to the same restaurant and order the same meal, and they park in the same spot, and they sit in the same seat, and they like it to be the same. They are big planners. By planning, they hope that they know exactly what's coming and that they can control what's taking place in the environment. Planning also includes budgets, and this is the person who absolutely has a budget and must stay within their budget. So do not offer them a solution, a product, a service that goes outside their means, because absolutely you will lose this sale. They follow the rules. There are always rules. And even if you haven't stated the rules, they know what the rules are. So this is a person who is very obedient, always defers to authority, very black and white, and absolutely has to have the rules in place. And tradition. This is the person who falls back on what happened before and wants to preserve traditions and cultures and ceremonies that have taken place. That gives them security and stability. And so the two words that characterize how they make buying decisions, the first is things have to be classic, meaning they're tasteful. They never go out of style. They absolutely will, again, be the same over time. And conservative. This person doesn't make rash decisions. They are very slow in following things, and things need to preserve order. So they are buying safety and security because that's what matters most to them, that things be the same, that they can count on things from time 1 to time 2 to time 3. As you can appreciate, they are slower in making up their minds, about 5 to 7 contacts. And during that time span, they are actually watching and observing your professionalism. Plus, they are looking to see whether you are organized, follow the rules, and do what you say you're going to do. So again, they're fairly slow in making up their minds. Hence, you need a system for how to continue contact with this person over time. Rob is not a stabilizing individual. However, he had an opportunity to sell to a company that was very stabilizing. He's in the IT field. And after he learned exactly what they needed, because he had contact with them before and never got to first base, he got a second chance by putting on a suit and tie, polishing his shoes, bringing a briefcase, and he landed the biggest deal so far of his career. So that was step 1. There are 4 different styles, 4 different value systems. We're now going to focus on step 2, which is to know your own style. Well, why is that important? Well, we tend to sell the way we buy. As I mentioned, there are 4 different styles, but one of them is always dominant. And as a result, if there are 4 styles and there is a dominant one in you and you tend to sell that way, that means 25% of the time there's a natural match. Well, do the math. 75% of the time you're not matched, which means that you're going to hear a lot of no's before you hear a yes. And that's because you're speaking the language, you're looking through the wrong lens, and you're not matched with your prospect. So how do you achieve this chameleon effect? How do you develop a likability? Well, actually, you can increase your ability to connect and get a second chance as much as 300%. And that's by looking through the lens of the other 3 selling styles, buying styles. So when you develop your first style, of course, that's 100% of your ability at this point. When you look through the lens of a second style, well, now you've increased 100% of your business. When you look through that third lens, that's 200% increase. And when you look through all 4 lenses, that's a 300% increase in what you're doing today. And just to tell you that there is some truth to what I'm telling you, Sharon was able to increase her business from January 2016 to January 2017, 270%, just by learning how to look through someone else's lens. So why would you want to know more about yourself? Well, it'll help you learn about your strengths as a salesperson, as well as, of course, the deficits. We all have areas that need strengthening. There are rough edges. Every style rubs somebody else the wrong way. Do you know what those are for your style? And we have blind spots, areas where we're actually shooting ourselves in the foot. We're sabotaging ourselves because we're not using all of our skill. And consequently, we're stuck. So knowing yourself can help you go forward. Step 3, how do you diagnose the other person's style? Well, I teach my clients to do that within 30 to 60 seconds. Oh yes, less than a minute. And we do it by looking at their appearance, by listening to their vocal qualities, by noticing their behaviors and mannerisms, by reading their emails and other correspondence, by looking at their decor in their office or home, if you have that opportunity, and also by going on their social media pages. There's a lot you can learn by looking at their LinkedIn profile or Facebook page. As I mentioned to you, I'm going to give you some bonus material, which is looking at people's appearance, what they wear. Step 4 is where you match their style, and here's where you develop a likability. But you need to do so with authenticity. This is not a mirror technique. We're not copying and mimicking what they're doing. We're actually using their values. And when you use their values authentically, you will build rapport quickly and make this person feel like you get me, you were alike. And these are some of the other things that I do to help my clients build rapport. And finally, the 5th step is we discard what doesn't match. Remember I talked about those rough edges that drive other people crazy? You need to know what yours are, and you need to rein them in. And finally, the blind spots where you're shooting yourself in the foot, you need to know what that is and stop pointing and pulling the trigger. And so that's the 5 steps of a likability, how you can develop that chameleon effect. Now, as you can tell, there's a lot to this system. But here's the key. You've got to go from information to skill. This is about not just knowing what to do. This is about doing it. And in order to develop that skill, it requires practice. According to Malcolm Gladwell, it takes about 10,000 hours before you're going to become a natural. 10,000 hours. Well, you've got 2 choices. One choice is, start learning now. This is a great seminar that you can get that information. You can get some books. I can certainly recommend all sorts of resources. So choice number 1 is what I call the do-it-yourself. Or you can use OPE. And OPE stands for other people's experience. Let them invest 10,000 hours and you get the golden nuggets of what they know. And in this case, I have the expertise. I can lend you a helping hand in order to save you that investment of 10,000 hours. So here comes the offer that I told you I'd be making, and I promise I won't twist your arm too strong, but the offer is a home study course called Selling with Style, and there are 8 total lessons. Well, actually 9 because I'm giving you a bonus lesson, but the study course is 8 lessons. And it's going to help you get into the mind of your prospect. You're going to know their values, you're going to know what they think, you're going to know what they want. It's going to help you feel and experience and talk their value language. It's going to help you speak through the words that they use that they resonate with. It's going to help you look through their lens. It's going to give you that ease and comfort, that friendly atmosphere where somebody wants to hear your information and your solution and isn't being sold. It's going to reduce that sales resistance. And it's going to build trust because you absolutely need the trust in order to make sales. And as a result, you're going to ooze self-confidence because the bottom line, people are buying you. I don't care if you're selling something tangible, they are buying you. And the more confidence you have, the more you assert yourself with confidence, that's when they're going to say yes. You're going to have the right approach, and guess what? You're going to get the edge in making those sales. Now, this is a program that I normally charge $497. Yes, I'm not charging $497. Hang on to your seats. It's just $20. Can you believe it? For lessons 1 to 3, I'm offering you an amazing opportunity to invest just $20 in yourself, and I offer you a guarantee. Because if you don't find $20 worth of value in these 3 lessons, I will send you a gift certificate for $20 so that you have absolutely nothing at risk here. So what's it all about? Lessons 4 to 8 will cost $97. And if you want to, after looking at the value of 1 to 3, you can then take lessons 4 through 8. Remember, this is a $497 value, and you're getting it for a bargain basement price. How do you enroll? You go to AlikeAbility.co, not com, but .co, AlikeAbility.co, and this offer does expire midnight, January 1st. So I can't offer this bargain basement price forever, but if this interests you, grab hold of it. Once you do, you will secure your place, and the price will never go up. That was the end of my crass commercial, and now we're going to have the bonus material about appearance. We're going to learn how to diagnose the prospect's style by looking at the clothes that they wear, and also their shoes. So remember the learning style, the practical utilitarian person. What is it that they wear? Well, I have to tell you, they don't care. You see, for them, it's about the mind and not what's on the body. And so they try to figure out, I mean, they do wear clothes, but they try to figure out a practical utilitarian solution to getting dressed. And for them, that means something's off. Something's off because they don't wear the most fashionable clothing. If it's serviceable, if it's clean, if it doesn't have tears and holes, well, they're going to wear it whether it's out of date or not. They tend to stick to plain things because they know that these will coordinate fairly easily, then they don't have to worry about mixing and matching patterns. But if they do wear a pattern, they go for geometric plaids. And they are the ones that find a uniform. Think of Steve Jobs, the black turtleneck, the designer jeans, and he was good to go. Well, I have a woman client who's the learning style. She bought 8 different blouses with a dark jacket, dark pants, and she alternated the blouses, laundered them in between, and she was good to go. They find a uniform. Now, this is a person who doesn't care about their hairstyle. They don't care about wearing makeup, so they often have none. And they don't care about jewelry. They're not dressing up. The glasses that are not fancy, that are just horn rim, this is that style. Now, they do know that they're not always fashionably dressed, so they tend to be a copycat, and they copy the stabilizing style. But as I will tell you in a moment, and you may want to take note later what the stabilizing style wears, they copy the stabilizing style, but only to a certain degree. They can't quite get themselves to be 100% stabilizing, which means being freshly laundered and pressed. So I'll get back to that in a moment. And of course, their shoes, leather shoes, tie shoes, something sturdy, something that's going to wear a while, practical and utilitarian. Our energizing person, well, remember, they are the stylist person. They're trendy, modern, outstanding, something unique, something different. This is the one who's got to be fashion forward. What's the latest color for spring? What's the latest fabric or fashion? This is the person who has to have new clothing every year, every season. They go for bright, bold colors and patterns because they want to stand out. They want to be different. Even when they wear black, which they might do, you'll find that they have some way, like a statement piece, that makes them look different. Some sort of bling, a big belt buckle. Maybe it's a hat. Maybe it's fashionable eyeglasses. Or, as you can see, various decorations to the body. Oh, and speaking of body art, yes, this is the person who does piercing and tattoos and other ways of being dramatic, calling attention to themselves. They tend to dress up, but they also will dress down because, folks, they've got the cool factor, very cool about how they dress. The men love their cufflinks, and the women love their stiletto heels. And I tell you, go to an expo, go to a stadium where people have to walk a mile, and the woman in stiletto heels, she's your energizing female. Both men and women love manicures, and of course the women make up, especially they don't leave their home without being fully made up, heaven forbid, even if it's just to go to around the corner for a cup of coffee. And for them, makeup includes eye makeup, not just facial makeup. And of course, the shoes, they've got to have fancy shoes. I was talking to somebody earlier today, and she was telling me about the amazing shoes she wore to her son's wedding, so much so that the photographer had to have a picture of them when they were dancing because they were so incredible. The networking style. Remember their two words? It's casual and comfortable. No standing on ceremony or pretense. Let it all hang out. So this person loves touchable fabrics, especially sweaters. And I'm not just talking about cool temperatures. I'm talking year-round. A man will wear a sweater vest even in the summer. Pastels, earth tones, nothing too wild or dramatic because this person, while they enjoy color, they don't want to stand out. They're more of a supportive individual. And so small patterns, something very tasteful that way. Loose, flowing garments. Again, this is the person who doesn't tuck in the shirt or blouse, the hair that's, long and flowy, that sort of thing. And big bags. Both the men and the women carry bags because they don't know. They have to be prepared. There may be people to help and serve and, do something for. So they've got a lot of stuff in their bags. And yet it's disorganized. The cars are disorganized. If you look there, you'll see a lot of litter and stuff because they'd rather support people than keep a neat car. And their shoes, something that they can slide into, no ties, no constrictions, low heels, comfortable, easy to walk in. All right, last is our stabilizing style. These shoes are classic, remember, and conservative. Those are the two words that mark their buying style. This person's very formal. Even on casual Friday, this person is dressed up just a little bit more than others. They don't wear jeans, they wear the khakis. And their colors, as you can see, it's very muted. The dark suits, the dark ties, the white shirt, pastel blue, possibly, pastel yellow, something ivory, but no purple or pink. I mean, that's too frou-frou for the men. The women might, but certainly not the men. And as far as patterns go, very small, tasteful pattern on the tie, for example. The women love their pearls, a single strand of pearls, and stud earrings. Stud earrings means it's an earring that doesn't dangle. It fits close against the ear. And the men, they polish their shoes. They always have shined shoes. You'd think that they're still in the military. And here's the big difference between the stabilizing people and the learning style. They look like they're freshly out of the dry cleaners, no matter what time of day. They love to have everything crisp and neat and clean and well taken care of, including, by the way, their cars. Everything is just immaculate. You can eat off, the floor pads of the car. Everything is clean and neat. And as far as shoes go, again, look at the classic pumps that women wear, the plain shoes and so forth that the men would select. Wow, that's a lot of information. I appreciate you hanging in with me. I promised you a gift, and that gift is a video called If the Shoe Fits. And so if you're interested in that video, please go ahead in the chat box, write the word shoe, and put your email address, and I'll make sure to send you that video. It's my gift for having hung in there and participated in our program. And for those of you who want to enroll with Selling with Style, again, go to AlikeAbility.co, and that offer is good until January 1 at midnight. And so that concludes our How Not to Lose a Sale. And I am going to stop the recording and then answer questions.